mints that have just kind of come through this ecosystem has been amazing. Small stuff like, whether it be Poglin or Vendetta Games, right? Still doing well between point 0.2 to point 0.4 range. We get, AOF verse, peaking at point 0.9, still holding point 0.4, point 0.5 ETH. Then we get huge wins like, what we're seeing is Overworld. Overworld's now on a march to almost 3 ETH. Less than 2% listed. Insane numbers that they're looking at. It's at 2.75 ETH last time I checked. Probably is going to march to about 4 ETH in the next week and a half, right? Like, if this continues and Jeremy continues to state the right narrative, it looks like we're gonna get one of the largest, token cooks in a pretty positive condition market here at the moment right now. But it'll be very interesting because then we also had another new big mint today. We had Farcana as well. If you've been following along, Farcana seems to have tons of hype on the Polygon side of the world. And with that, just cleared a 1 ETH floor right now. The mint just ended. There was a huge gas war. It was actually pretty interesting. We are trying to do some little bit of learnings here as well. But really what we're seeing is that, there is some interesting ways to bot on Polygon. B, you have to be good on both the bot front and the gas front. It was actually pretty interesting. The last transaction that hit on Farcana's first come first serve, right, was 777,777 Gwei, right? Or almost 800,000 Gwei was what was being used on Polygon to win that last transaction. The good thing is, 800,000 Gwei on Polygon is only around like $180, but still, that's kind of insane, right? Only $180, $200. So it's not like insane to win. So if you knew what you were doing on Farcana, you could have hit for $200 and technically flipped for $2,000, right? Which is really intriguing. But it was a very different way of thinking about gas. Like, we've never put those numbers in before on mainnet, right? But Polygon, 800,000 Gwei. Yeah, it's only $200, right? I mean, if you think about it, if anyone was successful in the Overworld mint, the average Overworld user probably paid like, I don't know, like close to $300 to $340, right? On Gwei there on that front as well. So pretty nuts. But yeah, exactly. If you're on Polygon and you hear that someone paid $100 for more for a gas transaction, it just shows you how crazy that is as well. Well, rocket scientist, you might have got the cheapest gas maybe for Overworld. You only have to pay like 0.05 in gas. Nice, man. You hit on mobile. Holy fuck, rocket scientist. Congratulations, bro. Like, you might have gotten the craziest, luckiest hit to be able to hit this on mobile and paid cheap for gas. Yeah, I paid close to 0.14 on a 505 breakdown, if I remember correctly, on my gas settings here as well. But fucking not doing that on mobile. Holy cow, rocket scientists. May the NFT gods be in your favor. That might have been like the most nuts thing I've ever heard. But awesome. And this just shows you how crypto's, I mean, to be very fucking honest, that's brilliant. It shows you how accessible crypto will be long term, right? Like, if you could hit that kind of play on a mobile device and still succeed, like as tools and infrastructure get better, like holy fuck, right? Anyone is gonna have another opportunity, which I think is really great. So, keep an eye out here. Like, it's very interesting, but the market clearly is staying hot. The other variable we want to keep an eye out on is The other giant that just kind of seems a little bit behind the game, but it feels like we're going to see their event here. I think tomorrow or Thursday, it looks like we're going to see the Grapes TGE event. The Grapes TGE event supposed to happen before 23rd. That should be a really large liquidity event. It's definitely lost a lot of its steam, right? Like that's kind of like my biggest worry about like Grapes. But I'm not saying it's worried that it's not going to do well. I mean, at their 50 million FDV, they should easily jump out to like a 300 to 500 million FDV just based off like the long-term metrics we've seen in this market. And if they do that, that's great. That means almost everyone's going to get a 5 to 10x. Some people still believe it could do a billion. It might. I mean, we're seeing totally brand new gaming coins get to 100, 200, 350 million market caps really quickly. I just think that Grapes has lost its luster to a lot of traders, right? When you're talking to a lot of people who are playing the game token meta, very few of them are accumulating Grapes or holding in that position. It feels like a lot of the rotations already happened, and the only people left, right, are those that already have big incentives to stay and get their liquidity out. But it should still be a really positive event. But I'm very curious because it's going to happen this week. Where does that liquidity flow? And that should be a very important thing, is that this is probably another really, really like compelling element here as well, is recognizing, man, this is probably a reason why Overworld and other projects that we might be tracking are going to get a really large lift over this next week, because the goal or hope is some of that liquidity flows down, right? And that's what we're always hoping for in this meta. So this is what we need to be paying attention to, right? This is the game now, right? The game is, how well did the previous TGE go, right? How well did the previous token generation event go? And how does that impact the future market from here? Right. And we're going to get a very clear answer on Grapes. And then we're going to get a very clear answer on how healthy will it be. Here's the good thing. Even if they stumble at the blocks, the market's not overly worried because we actually got Overworld. Overworld gives very strong confidence to the market that this meta at least extends until their TG event, right? Which means that we probably still have 30 plus more days of this meta to go. So this is where I hunker down, right? This is where I'm really, really focusing, if I'm all you guys, is what are going to be the largest, most compelling, and most interesting GameFi launches or GameFi liquidity moments in the next 45 days, roughly. Right? That's how I'm right now thinking through this market. I'm just trying to bet on projects where I believe that they're going to have the primary tipping point of their value prop in their excuse me, asset value journey. I want to find those projects and essentially partner or get allocation in them. Sorry, one sec. Oh man, it's only the start of the day and I'm almost losing my voice already. But the crazy thing is, even though I haven't been doing much, we didn't do any live events yesterday. I'm doing like almost 6 to 7 partner meetings a day. So my voice is definitely going to go in and out over the next 10 days. But the great thing here, right? Like, there's like a opportunity now, right? Where if you can scale this product launch experience, Overworld has been able to showcase two big things. One is they showcase resilience, right? Overworld honestly did a really poor job on its mint. Really poor job on its mint. The over allocation wasn't great. The mint experience wasn't great. And to be very honest, the numbers that we were told weren't really true, right? There were a lot of issues there, but it shows that, a good, proper response from a founder can absolutely, right, help us remove that and showcase that We have a goldfish-like memory in this market. No one cares anymore, right? They've turned the corner, and now the goal is let's prepare this fucking rocket ship for the largest TGE token event. And I think that's also like really intriguing here as well, because essentially they're going to give us a lot of insight on the playbook. Honestly, if I'm a founder, I'm watching how Overworld is communicating, right? I'm trying to understand how they navigate because they're far from perfect, but their responses have been fairly good, at least since the mint. So they've had a couple of good, they've had a couple really good announcements. That's been really compelling here as well. I think separately, right? What's really unique is it's recognizing that this is a game of speculative upside, right? It is always showing users that hey, there's another layer of speculative hope. There's another layer of speculative value. And what Jeremy has essentially constructed now for Overworld is enough room on the NFT side of speculative value, enough room for the speculative value on Manasite, right? His token. And then he's also created a lot of speculative value with his partnerships, right? Which he announced the Horizon Labs Ventures, HLV partnership, the guys behind ApeCoin token, and quite a few of the other previous successful tokenomics launches. And right, you're gonna start seeing him, officially, if Jeremy does this correctly, he has the Binance announcement in his back pocket for them as official listing partner whenever he does come out with that. He'll probably have another fundraising announcement right behind this as well, right? Noting that he's closed the private sale of the token, which should only fuel token speculation value here as well, right? Like this this is kind of the right playbook. So we want to pay attention to that because right now, the way I look at it is Overworld's the known endpoint right now. I'm not saying it is going to be the only potential endpoint. Another project may be able to pick up the baton and take Overworld further, or Overworld finds another speculative lever because they have Exterio, right? They can be start fueling the Exterio token. I mean, there's a lot of layers here that people, right, when you actually unpack it, Overworld is actually set. Again, this doesn't mean that we're justifying everything that Overworld did. We're not justifying the way they've run the process. It's about reading the market, right? That's kind of the things that you guys also want to like recognize to an extent is being able to read the market. And then you can make your decisions of whether or not you want to enter based off your reasons, right? It's the same reason whenever we talked like about projects in the past, like, like Cart Party, right? It wasn't that the fact that we knew wasn't going to be a profitable play. We'd always give you the argumentation for it, right? But we'd give you our reasoning of why we weren't partnering as well. And the idea is that you should all be willing to understand the relationship of the argumentation so that you could actually be better positioned for upside too. Right. And Overworld is probably one of the clearest plays right now for accumulation. It was probably the one of the easiest plays to accumulate it, even around like not even the bottom, like 1.5, 1.7. It sat there for a very long time. If you had the ability to play whale games, right? Like that was a very clear like acquisition opportunity, especially after the first announcement. And now you're seeing like that not only is there a little bit of accumulation now clearly happening, it's just people don't want to sell, right? No one wants to sell Overworld, which is another fantastic metric. They already had, right? Remember, these guys announced delisting incentives today, like an hour ago. But before that, they were already at 3% listing, which is nuts, right? If you think about it, right? Like this is kind of a nuts thing is that he already had the numbers, like anything below 5% listing in this market is magic, right? Then you start talking about 3%, crazy, right? Now we're in 2%, even nuts, right? This is kind of pretty nuts, right? So this is kind of what I'd be following along. So, guys, when I say the Exterio token, there's no mention of this actually happening anytime soon, right? I don't even think it does happen until like late. Like, I think if Jeremy plays his playbook right, let me tell you what he's doing. He optimizes for this meta and wins this right now as a singular game token, and he gets out, Overworld to $1 billion FDV market cap. That's his goal. And then if he does that right, he then uses that leverage and advantage to build up the exterior portfolio. And whenever the next bull rally comes again for this market, and there will be another strong rally somewhere in 2024, I'm not going to say it's the actual bull, but there will be rallies like this. Like we have a bullish like rally sentiment right now. Even though no new wallets are coming in, active wallets are essentially flat, or we see like maybe up 5%. We're seeing that at least the activity of those that are here are leading to bull conditions. I think you're going to see a few more moments like this as well. So if Jeremy does this right, his goal then is in summer, right? Probably late summer. His goal is to then launch the Exterio portfolio token, right? That would be what I think he should be doing. Again, Jeremy has not shared any of this, nor has he ever said any of this, right? This is all pure conjecture. But why would he start with an overworld game token and then stop there? He wouldn't, right? It would either be multiple game tokens or ecosystem token. 100%. That's probably where this playbook ends up going long term, which I think is really intriguing. So when we look at this, what do we want to recognize? As I mentioned, I'm trying to focus on projects that are scaling and accelerating to a TGE by January, right? By end of January. And right now, there's not a lot of projects that we know here at the moment right now. So this is what's also going to be an area we're going to start sharing a little bit more analysis around later this week. So one of the things that we're going to do in our token play session, I actually got a tweet about this. Here's this token play session. We're going to break down all the leading TGEs that we think can happen in January. Right? We're going to see what the options are here and what the likelihood is of these projects having a January TGE event. And there's a lot of projects that have promised this stuff, right? There's AOF Verse, even though they've delayed, right? Vendetta Games should be having a token. Block Game should be having a token. L3E7 should be having a token. Matrix will have their token. Wallet Wars, Raw Pass will have their token. Weebox definitely not happening in January. They've at least let us know that. But they will have a token at some point, right? Yoga Pets, yep. All these guys are going to have it. What we want to figure out is of these top tier guys, which one is going to scale. I do love that one of you brings up A Note. I'm just curious. I know some people were saying that it's kind of moving a little bit, which I think is all interesting. I'm just curious what you guys mean by moving. Oh, you mean it went all the way up to 0.025. Let's go, A Note. Yeah, and this is kind of the nice thing is that we're trying to get you guys exposure to kind of a few different projects here as well. And this is where we're learning. Like I know like we're always in this like rush to get as much liquidity as possible, right? This is the hard race, right? But like this is also why I loved getting WorkX. It only reached like 0.1 ETH at its top. It's like 0.085 at the moment. I'm just very curious, right? Is it even worth looking at non-game stuff? And here's the honest answer. We've gotten a resounding answer. The answer is fuck no. Don't wait. Like really, don't waste your time on that shit. Right now, if it's not pure gaming, degen, or like clear consumer meme token meta, not worth your time. It really isn't. Right? Like I don't think most of this is going to be the case. It doesn't mean that there won't be profit, right? Like don't get me wrong. Like, there's going to be accumulation opportunity. There's a very clear accumulation opportunity on both WorkX and A Note if you want. And there's definitely movements where you're going to see the 5 to 6x plays. So I don't think there's not going to be, there's still small supply plays, which makes less sense. But what we're seeing is that even when the variables are in their favor, and like, I want to be very clear, both A Note and WorkX did not do a great job like launching the NFT. A Note and WorkX really disconnected the yield value of the token from the NFT, which is why they were less sexy of plays. But, what is really interesting here, right, is that it just shows you gaming is going to consume everything, right? Everything is going to be gaming oriented here than ever before, right? And in 2024 is going to be that clear opportunity in this market long term. So what am I really trying to like get you guys to recognize here is when you step back, I really would be recommending that a majority of your portfolio is gaming in 2024, right? And that could be gaming NFTs, that could be gaming tokens. I think you could figure out your right blend. But like, if you are not at least putting in 33% of your portfolio in gaming, you're probably playing this meta wrong, right? You're missing out on where most of these generational values will be, right? So think through how you want to build for your portfolio management. I don't care which ones you get, but don't lose exposure, right? You should also be getting exposure on multiple chains. Like, what have we always been preaching is that chains are always going to get glow up moments as well, even when we're in healthy conditions in this market. Like Sol was a very interesting place to have exposure the last 60 days, right? If you were in Sol the last 60 days, you probably did really fucking well, right? Or you ended up finding opportunities just dropping in your lap out of nowhere, right? It's going to be really interesting here, right? Separately, right? The other thing that we're going to see beyond Solana, right, is that you're going to other opportunities open. Even Avalanche is trying to make NFTs a thing on their end with PFPs with Dokio. Whether or not that's going to be sustainable, who knows? But it's at least showing you volume. You got Farcana now working on Polygon and a 1 ETH floor. You have, a lot of Arbitrum gaming plays going on right now. We have ZK Sync and Starknet coming. Like, this is going to be a play. So, what you really need to start working on and figuring out is where are you getting your exposure and where are you positioning your portfolio accordingly, right? But as we then take another step back, right, what is actually the most important thing is when you see a big wave, try to capture it, try to ride that wave. Like, this is how this market is going to be. You're going to see always some waves for always going to be like profit opportunities, right? Like, there'll always be that in bear or bull. Like, what we've learned is there's always ways for projects to scale growth and opportunity and narrative, especially because we're so narrative driven, right? But man, it's going to be choppy waters, and there's going to be days where it feels really slow, and then there's going to be days where it's going to feel close to peak bull mania, right? You need to be ready for this peak bull manias, right? So what am I doing, right? Like, I am absolutely just focused because I believe 2 or 3 top projects will win in this current wave cycle. I think we're in wave 1. So this is let me at least give you my theory. I think there will be 2 to 4 mini wave experiences that like singular large wave experiences over 2024, right? And I think like realistically that number's probably 2, maybe 3 backs. I want to know where each of those moments are going to be, and then I want to be probably never sleeping during those moments. One of those moments is right now, to be very transparent. I am barely fucking sleeping. I am up, like, I went to sleep again at 5 a.m. and woke up at 8:30 a.m. Right? And the real reason for this is holy fuck, there's just so much opportunity. There's literally so much fucking opportunity in this space, left and right, and you want to start getting positioned for that and finding those ways. So we'll share with you on Thursday a few of the areas where Tribe is putting a very large emphasis, right? And we're really building around the overworld. If I'm going to be very overtly transparent, it's that we have such strong conviction that as long as Overworld doesn't fuck up, right? Like, that's it. As long as Overworld doesn't fuck up, and it's pretty hard to fuck up from here, right? That's the most important thing, right? If they don't fuck up, right, this will lead to $1 billion FDV liquidity event that will be huge, absolutely huge, right? And this is kind of like the other crazy thing here is that these guys are going to really allow this market to showcase what these peak potentials will be. And I think around that event, there will be 2 or other 3 small winners, right? And when I say small, I mean like still very large, like 5 to 8x winners. Who are those people, right? Who are those individuals we want to find, right? And how do you kind of build that as well? And this is going to be the hardest challenge, right? Because there's not going to be many more things that move like this in this way at this supply, right? I mean, it just shows you like how hard it is to move organically. Like one thing I can tell you, at least based on the data and based off my conversations with Jeremy, this dude's not market making shit. Like literally, he's not. Like he's the only thing he's market made was pre-selling stuff, right? In regard to the allocation, which could have been way better, right? But he literally isn't doing any of that other stuff. And because of that, what you could actually see is what I think a closest to organic price movement of one of the hottest projects can look like. Right. And that's kind of the crazy thing, because you know what's actually crazy? There's a project outperforming Overworld, but no one talks about it because it's probably not as organic. Not saying it's like totally not organic, but it's just seeing that world. It's Cuckoo. Cuckoo is actually technically significantly a stronger market cap. It has a larger supply and a larger floor, right? Which is crazy. And it is technically the second project from the Matrix ecosystem. And they're trying to make Cuckoo, though, even though it's a second release, is the more powerful of their two assets, right? And it's crazy. It's Cuckoo sitting above 3 ETH floor. And it minted at 0.44 ETH for a third of their users. The other 2/3 of the users got airdrops. But as many of us know, that is a much more market made play, right? Which is insane, right? Is like if you think about the amount of attention Cuckoo versus Overworld has in this market, right? The fact that even there's many people who don't know what Cuckoo is, it is nuts. Like it is absolutely nuts on how well that is doing. But it also shows you that, man, that's the power of market making, right? If you know what you're doing and you market make, the crazy thing is who cares about attention? Your floor price is still higher than everyone else's, right? Which is nuts, right? Which is really, really interesting. How big was their raise? I believe they added 10 more new million, like $10 million on top of their previous 10 million. So it's like 20 million total, which is also like a weird round structure. Like you rarely raise the same amount of capital in 2 consecutive rounds. But again, they're playing the right storytelling game on the Matrix Cuckoo side. And again, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I want to be very clear, but you could get a sense of a feeling, right? Like, look at your impressions. How many times are people talking about Cuckoo in your timeline? And then tell me how many people are talking about Overworld in your timeline. I'm just talking about the last like month, right? And that's kind of a very interesting thing is that you're actually seeing, and this is kind of what we're getting a great data point on, right? The great data point is what does organic price movement somewhat look like in this market? And Overworld's at least giving us what I think the top of the top organic hype looks like, right? It is the top of the top at the moment right now with their supply, which is good. And if anyone beats that, right, they either need to be truly organic or they have to be truly market made. And this starts giving you a good understanding of where these opportunities are going to be scaling out here as well. So this market's getting hot. This market's willing to spend. But what is, like I said, as I mentioned earlier, other insight, it's not new money. It's all existing users. So this is the other thing we learn about this market is that we all have a shit ton of dry powder, right? There is tons of dry powder out there that people are willing to bring back in. So our goal wasn't like, oh, we need retail to come in. It's no, we needed a meaningful narrative of why people should be in NFTs again. And clearly, this gaming and token meta has found that vibe, right? It's bringing everyone back because generational wealth is upon us, right? As we mentioned, like we hear like, oh my god, this fucking token already hit a 9-figure market cap, and I never heard of it. That's as fucking bull season as it gets, right? Or as at least bull rally season as it gets. When you start hearing market caps that are unfathomable about projects you've never heard before in a field that you are focusing on. Again, it is mind-boggling what is already happening, right? And this is going to be like another major challenge here, right? Is like, where is this sustainability going to be? Lemon Boy says, buying 4 for a project could be interesting as a use of a marketing budget for Web3 projects, considering how if it wasn't for their floor, no one would talk about Cuckoo. Wondering if that's how they see it. Yeah, potentially. I mean, I think the real way that Cuckoo and Matrix see that is that they're trying to juice their floor prices to juice the token, which allows them to get their liquidity event. I think that's really how they're all playing this year as well, right? And also if you think about it, just on the 2000 that they sold of their supply at 0.44 ETH, right? They brought in, 800 ETH, right? On that front. That was probably by far the amount of their cost of losses here. So being able to get to that payment here is pretty smart for them to keep their game going, right? And their game is keep using this, and a lot of VCs see their top funnel metrics and go, "Wow, this is great." A lot of people see their conversation, right, and their Twitter metrics, and think that's great. And really, this is where a lot of people are able to kind of accelerate the liquidity event. Because let me be very honest, Overworld's no different, right? They're just doing it organically. Overworld's in a race to get to token. Overworld's in a race to bring in capital on favorable terms with non-dilutive equity and only with token-based equity, right? Which is a very interesting way. And Jeremy knows this. This is what he's playing too as well. Matrix is just doing it, I think, a little bit less organically, but it's effective. They have a good floor. Matrix actually has good top of funnel awareness. Cuckoo does not, right? Like people still struggle to explain to me the difference between owning Cuckoo and Matrix. Supposedly Cuckoo's more powerful, no, but it's not very clear. But it is clear to those in the know. And what you see is that you get like two different ways of seeing like momentum being created in this market. So if I'm you guys, what am I keeping an eye out on? I'm keeping an eye out on, of course, Overworld. Overworld leads this wave, right? If they're the top of the wave, right, we want to understand how big the top of this wave is going to get, and then we want to understand what are the other waves we could ride alongside that as well. Secondly, right, the other big important thing that you want to realize is want to keep a very close eye on emerging chains, right? I think Farcana, you should keep an eye on. How does a Polygon play work with a Polygon NFT that's now above 1 ETH Genesis asset? Can they get to a token? And they also have a weird BTC play. So, very curious to see how that works. As mentioned, we haven't talked about this because it's not gaming, but it is still collector meta. Holy fuck, dude. Like, Ordinals is doing really well now, right? Again, it's very choppy though. There's days and weeks that it goes, but remember, they have a 10,000 collection that is sitting at a 7 ETH floor right now, right? A 10K collection is sitting at a 7 ETH equivalent floor at the moment right now. Yep, and that's BTC Frogs, right? OMB was sitting at like 0.67 I saw last, but before I start making up numbers, let's go look at it really quickly. OMB sitting at so it traced that back down to 0.565. Well then fuck, what is Bitcoin Frogs at? Holy fuck, Bitcoin Frogs still at 0.4379. Holy cow, this is gonna be really, really interesting now. And then of course there's a huge event this week, right? That's Node Monkeys. And Node Monkeys also came out really stumbling, unfortunately, in this last couple of weeks, but seem to have regained their balance. They've done a couple good auctions here as well. Because now they're doing this Dutch auction for the 8,000 supply, it should do really well. It seems a lot of people are hyped. I mean, the truth is, if Bitcoin Frogs are 0.43, a lot of people are saying, how is Node Monkeys not at that same price? Right? Which is kind of nuts. I mean, to be very honest, I think the steal of the century is Golden Monkey for 2 BTC. Although I still would have bought a BTC Shroom instead. And that's the other information coming out of also Ordinals, right? The one of the Grail collections in BTC Shrooms is now privately selling. They already sold some on Sotheby's, and now they're like essentially selling to internal holders with kind of a soft auction bid. looks like they're roughly going for 2 BTC each, right? Which is crazy, right? BTC shrooms will probably sell out at roughly 2 BTC. And then separately, like what's really interesting is that it'll probably trade at 3 BTC or higher. Like realistically, if this market continues, I mean, again, if Bitcoin frogs are at 0.43 BTC, how are BTC shrooms not at 4 BTC? Like you would think that there's at least a 10-to-1 ratio there. But again, we're gonna learn. And this is also the very interesting thing about if you're on ordinals. Ordinals is defying a lot of the logic and that we saw in ETH. It's a different chain and a different culture. So you want to use your ETH knowledge base to create frameworks, but you want to hold those frameworks loosely as you bring it out to Polygon. Very different ecosystem. Again, I couldn't tell you for the life of me why Bitcoin Frogs is moving like this. I really can't. I don't even know if Bruno can let me know like why this is going at this level because there was huge accumulation opportunity. Like you could have been acquiring BTC Frogs less than like 30, 45 days ago, and you'd be up like 30x on it, right? 20x on that, something to that extent. They were pretty low. It might be a little higher. Maybe I'm like misremembering the exact numbers, right? Bruno says, "Def some manipulation going on." But bro, how do you manipulate a 10K market? That's what I'm like blown away by. Like I totally agree there's some manipulation going, but holy shit, right? Like this is either some really coordinated shit or like people just don't want to sell at all. You would think people would dump. Yeah, people have hundreds. Yeah, I agree. Like there's a lot of whale ownership at the top. But man, like a manipulation of a 10K supply, very hard to pull off. But fuck, we're really seeing that here, which is pretty nuts on the ordinals front. So I think like this is kind of like another big thing here is that this market is going to be very different. Ordinals moves at its own different beat, but you shouldn't forget about it, right? So as we step back, right, what are the other few things that we want to keep in the back of our mind, right? I think it's going to be the token allocation here, right? What do I really love about this meta? Everyone's playing to get to the TGE, right? Literally everyone is trying to get to the TGE of most of these events. You want to find the ones that are worth getting to. Separately, right? You want to start figuring out where are the ways to accumulate in this market as well. I think the nice other thing is that you're going to see a lot of plays, see 2 to 4x or 2 to 5x flip opportunities as this market starts figuring out where to give attention. I think this is the other like really interesting thing is that this market almost has too much going on, so people are struggling to keep up, and they're willing to rally around a lot of things with very little action. Right? Like it's very interesting. Like Nexian Gems was one of the more interesting movers. Project from Skyborn, a team called Revolving Games. They've raised a bunch of venture capital before in the past. And what's kind of crush, right? Our biggest challenge here as well is recognizing, the uh sorry about that. Got two phone calls coming in at the same time. Oh, geez. But like what we're starting to recognize still in this market, there's still a huge opportunity for big wins. We're still seeing the market figuring out its maturity. We're still finding ways where, products are going to be undervalued. And when we looked at Nexian Gems, what you're also going to see is people are going to do some pumpy shit. So be ready for that, right? Really, what you're going to recognize at this point is the market's going to come out, Nexian Gems clearly like drop some inside information to a few groups. Quite a few of them front ran the buy on that. It went up overnight. And the only announcement we got from Nexian Gems is you're all getting a node. We're telling you the node is worth 2.5 ETH. We don't know where that number came from, but it's yours. Fucking makes no sense. Literally makes no fucking sense, right? At all. Like, no one should ever say that. Your legal team will hate you if you say that. The 2.5 ETH doesn't even make sense. No one pays that much for a node. And have you seen the fucking art for the collection? Like, I think a lot of people forget there is this Nexian gems here at the moment right now, right? Like is what they all are talking about. But like, have you actually seen the Skyborn Genesis Immortals? Like, this is the game you want art for? Like, this is what you want? You want this game you're getting a 2.5e node for? This is getting you excited? Sorry, I'm dropping it in chat right now. Like, really? This is what we're going back to weird chibi characters and calling it a day? And it's super funny because like these assets don't even really connect to the next gens. These are the PFPs for that Skyborn game. No one's fucking talking about this shit, right? Like, because no one cares. All anyone cares. So this is the Genesis Immortals, right? This is the second collection here, right? And yeah, dude, if you got a gem, go get it, bro. Guess what? First of all, these Skyborns currently, here's the hilarious part. I don't even know how this works. Oh, there's only one person who's doing it. The current floor price is 0.08 and the top bid is 0.11. I've never seen that much of a spread. So you could technically go buy these right now and just dump into the spread. And oh, I guess there's only a couple that you could really sell for. It looks like just a couple people undercutting, but pretty ridiculous here. And then separately, right, then you get the Nexian gems. Let me get those for you real quick, which makes even less sense. Again, these things already have given their primary utility. There's 3,333 of these. If you own one of these, you got 3 of the PFP characters. And then now they're claiming that this is going to be a node for their game. And holy fuck, it's still pumping. It's almost at 1 ETH. Like, and it doesn't even make sense. No one knows what this is. It doesn't make sense. It's all garbage. It's all trash, but it's fucking profit, right? And that's kind of the thing that you want to understand. There's going to be a lot of dumb shit that's going to have profit in this market, right? And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be selling you broken narratives as well, right? And in some cases, you can make capital, but you want to avoid as you possibly can, right? So like again, maybe Nexian and the Skyborn team. I actually hilariously know the Skyborn team in person and those guys, right? They can make a mobile game, but they know nothing about Web3. And you can see with all their comms, I would never, ever fucking care about holding any of their assets here as well. But this is kind of the challenge here, right? Is like this market is so pumpy, you have to figure out where you want to allocate here as well, right? And this is kind of the other challenge here as well, is that you don't get a lot of patience on this market. So you either have to put overtly bullish stuff or you're going to get kind of lost. And that's kind of the other hard part, is that, don't get me wrong, I think there's still a lot of opportunity in this market for scale. I think there's a lot of opportunity for projects to try different strategies. And I don't want to limit that by any means. But I do also want to be like very clear, is that you have your choice in where and how you want to capture profits, right? You have your decision of when you want to enter any kind of one of these for upside as well. Choose ones that align with your vibe, right? And I think that's going to be the other thing when we think about GameFi. There's a lot of shit that I might end up holding, right? Not because I have conviction in them as a long-term project, but I either have market conviction and narrative conviction in the short term, or I believe they're being undervalued in the market, for near-term flips, right? I think, a lot of these types of opportunities are going to present themselves. So I'm really looking at a lot of projects between like that 0.05 to 0.2 ETH floor price. Where are those good accumulator opportunities potentially, right? So I keep that in the back of my mind. I'm also trying to understand that who's going to accelerate with speed. Who's really going to find out a way? Because I think speed is probably the most important variable here, right? Like, why is everyone betting on Overworld at the moment right now? It's not because anyone believes the game's going to be literally, we're not even fucking caring about the game. There's no video of the game, nothing. We don't care, right? We don't care when the Overworld game actually comes, right? all we are betting on, right, is the speed. And I think that's the important thing to understand here. It's not even a bet on Jeremy, to be honest, right? Like all this is it's a bet on he's got the right pieces, right? And I think that's all we're right now really. And many people who are holding Overworld are not thinking beyond 30 days, right? No one is really thinking about like beyond 30, 45 days, right? And the truth is, we don't have much clarity, right? But this is the game. And it's not that I know we say Ponzi, don't get me wrong. A lot of the shit that ends up launching is very Ponzi like. But it's not that these games are Ponzi games we want to play. It's that, let's be very honest, this market only wants short term games, right? This market only cares about short-term returns, right? And this is exactly it, right? Bruto says no one cares about the game. This is all going to end with making big bads and lots of people losing. That's also very true. And that's the other thing you want to understand, right? Is that in the end, these are still all extractive plays. So as a collective whole, as a community, we are going to lose, right? On the trader front, the game is built to be, all of us losing as a collective. But this is where, winners and losers are essentially born individually. You'll see a small amount of users make really large bags. You'll see a large amount of people lose medium sized bags. And then you'll also see some risk averse low people who will make consistently small bags. And you want to figure out where that risk tolerance you're able to come, but also where you want your strategy as well to play out. So, one of the other things that I think is important to recognize here is you should not be max aggregating, in my opinion, right? Like, let me say in my own words, I fucking am not holding anything beyond 30 days when I grab. That's how I'm thinking. Don't get me wrong, I can maybe change my conviction a little bit later, but 80 to 90% of what I hold in this market will be under 60 days right now. Just talking about this market moment, right? That's it. I'm not talking about how the overall market is going to be. I'm talking about where this play is going to be, right? Which I think is really important to understand. And because of that, this is going to be really really exciting. But it means that we're also going to have to hold in our opinions on a lot of stuff, right? Because we don't have to overthink it, right? The conversation doesn't have to be one game or quality of game. Like, let me be very honest with Farcana. Like, I don't really care about their game, but they have a game, right? But if you really wanted me to talk about it, the hardest categories to win. It is one of the hardest ways to make the gameplay feel smooth. It is one of the hardest games to make it feel balanced. And more importantly, their current game is is still pretty far from a good balanced ecosystem at the moment, right? But I'm not betting Farcana on their game. I'm betting on Farcana on their signaling, narrative, and token opportunity. And those are all generally stellar outside of them being on stupid fucking Polygon, right? Like, again, like, I don't understand why their Genesis passes Polygon. Just make your game assets on Polygon. If they put their Genesis assets on ETH, I bet you the floor price is twice the price, right? I really do. But this is kind of the other element, right? Is that in the end, this market is going to sell you this narrative, right? Free is exactly right. Every project has a game. So does anyone care about any game? Like, literally, does anyone care about any actual game in this market realistically? The honest answer is the vast majority do. And the vast majority are playing the narrative for that opportunity. And this narrative is actually going to get really, really strong. All right. Exactly, ICBs, right? We've talked about this. The real game was Blur, right? The real game is PvP trading. This is the game. What are you guys really asking for all of this bullshit? Like, you're like, Saint, you just made us listen to you for like 55 minutes about this shit. What you're really just thinking in the back of your mind is when Relic, when Profit, when next play. That's it, right? That's what this market is still trained to always be thinking about. Don't get me wrong, many of you are at least willing to have that here with us, right? Which I appreciate, right? And I think that's kind of the important thing is that at least we're at least trying to be conscious degens, maybe is the right way. I don't even know how to explain it right, but it is pretty funny, right? We're trying to be like, we're good people. We care about this. We want to have conversations here as well, right? But the honest truth here, right, is recognizing when you look at this market, we want to be able to understand real-time meta, real-time pulse. This is actually probably the secret I'll leave you with as we kind of wrap up. The better you are at understanding the read of the market, right? In these kind of almost 1 to 2 week moments, that's really it. The better you're able to understand that, the better you'll be able to profit in this market, right? Everything is being driven on, can you identify, define, and accumulate the primary narrative before others, right? And if so, there is tons of profit opportunities that are going to be ahead, which I think is incredibly exciting. I think the other real important thing here as well for each and every one of you is recognizing you want to be prepared to know what type of game you're willing to play. So all of you should be thinking about, hey, are we at 0 ETH? I'm only can grind. Or hey, I have 0.5 ETH. I can maybe accumulate a couple low passes. Or hey, I have a couple ETH. I'm down to make some maybe bigger plays or bigger moves. Right? You want to find what your size of opportunity here at the moment right now, but you should absolutely figure out your game plan, right? And if you're on the free side, right, meaning that you don't have a liquidity, right, you have to then either choose, do I want to be only farming, right? And you're farming for whitelist and farming for tokens. That's what you're doing. That's still 80% of this market, right? So you're playing that game, but you just don't have a lot of edge on that game. Your best edge, hilariously, is probably owning your soul because of the allocation we still get here. It's still by far some of the best odds and opportunities for that. But the real truth is that if I'm in any of your guys' shoes, get liquid. A little bit of liquid to be able to make these plays. Right? There's no reason to have your bags tied to old stuff for that long when windows like this come. When you have to sit on the sidelines of big waves and you didn't have the opportunity to allocate any amount of capital, you're struggling, right? Like you're just going to struggle. And the whole point of being in this market is to have liquidity when these windows open, right? This is the most exciting window, honestly, in the last 18 months. I don't even think it's close. This is the second closest would be honestly when Blur and Blur token airdrop and Captains minted. That was probably the other smallish euphoria. This is slightly right, and then a couple weeks after that, this is when Dimensionals minted. That was a juicy 3 to 4 weeks to an extent, but it faded immediately, right? Like we went right back to bear really, really fucking quickly, right? So now you're at this challenge of recognizing like, holy fuck, this is 5x 10x way bigger than what I've seen before. This is where I need to be liquid. This is where you need to be making plays. This is the whole reason you've been grinding this market, right? So this is the other important thing, is that you need to optimize your portfolio to be able to get you to be able to make plays, right? If you can't do it, right, you're stuck playing the same game as everyone else, which is only grinding for whitelist. And there are really good plays. There have been numerous ways where you could have gotten sub 0.2 ETH on something, and that could have probably brought you already half an ETH or 1 ETH more in play. Like there have been tons of those opportunities the last 45, 60 days of this market, right? There have been tons of opportunities even in the last 4 or 5 months of this market, right? Yeah, grapes, ZTX, like there are a lot of ways that you could have made. If you're looking back and you currently don't have liquid right now, you played this game wrong. You played this entire market wrong, and you should understand that. It's okay though if you played this market wrong thus far, right? Like I just really want to make sure you guys recognize though, you need to be able to have the capital and the knowledge to make plays. It's just not knowledge enough, right? And this is kind of the important thing here, right? Is grinding for whitelist still a thing? Grinding for whitelist is the actually in this market. Like this is the other thing we'll talk about real quick and then wrap up, is that this market's so dumb. Like we don't even know how to allocate mints. right? We don't even know at all what to do, which is hilarious, right? So what is this entire market? It's all a bad. Everything is a grind. Everything is garbage, right? Everything is not sustaining in this play. So because of this, right, what a lot of people don't recognize here is that as this market becomes dumber at allocating, it means that the opportunity to accumulate gets stronger, right? You're gonna see people. I mean, dude, you want to know how dumb this market is? Do you know how many people had list were able to mint and then started freaking out because trading wasn't really like unlocked yet because Jeremy shared it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes to unlock trading for everyone because he wanted to confirm the airdrops. But those people started freaking out and they started undercutting themselves, right? When there was no liquidity available because it was blocked from trading on all the networks. So you literally saw people, dude, like there were sales for Overworld under 1 ETH, right? Some were like 1.1, 1.2. Like this is kind of nuts. And this is kind of the other challenge here as well, right? And this is kind of the other element here too, is that these are all going to be very, very clear windows and opportunities that are going to show you that this market's still dumb. This market still doesn't understand what they're doing, right? And this is kind of the other opportunity here as well to know when to accumulate too. Yeah, I think Killam's one of the best. I've been learning a ton from him on just his entries and re-entries and plays, right? So there's a lot of stuff to kind of have insight on. Baba asks, what's your thinking on Infinigods? Have been holding for 30 days. I'm just telling you, Infinigods is, and as I mentioned, really from the start, Infinigods is like a 90 day to 120-day hold. They are not going to get to token meta first. They are going to be one of those opportunities where you want a strong project team with strong fundraising and strong fundamentals. Like they're the ones that I anchor in my portfolio because no matter what, I'm going to get positive return from them, but I'm not putting a lot of liquid there, right? The truth is that for a lot of these projects right now, they're still like 2, 3 months behind in the meta. So when they're 2, 3 months behind the meta, right, it means it's a good accumulation opportunity, right? And that's what you want to figure out. But like, okay, if I had to choose, right, it's really about what are your thoughts on Infinigods? Infinigods is in my portfolio because I know I'm holding that for 120 days, right? I don't mind that. I view that cool. Like this thing will have a rip or peak moment in those 120 days is how I'm thinking, right? But if I had to choose right now between like similar floor prices, Wallet Wars or Infinigods, I'm 10x choosing Wallet Wars because Wallet Wars is getting to their TGE event first, right? Like I would be betting on that because of the meta, the window, right? On that front. So that's the other important thing is that whenever you look at the context of something, it's understanding the opportunity cost that it may be preventing you, but it's also understanding what is their position in your portfolio, right? Because all of your portfolio should not just be about short-term flips, right? This is where again, as you get liquidity and maturity, right, you do want to have some really meaningful upside, right, on in a meaningful positioning of certain assets just being long-term holds. So you need to figure out what your composition is. I think the problem right now is that we're all like collectively, right? Web3 is the dumbest fucking trader class ever created. Like we're so bad at returns. Web3 as a collective is dumb as fuck, right? We're literally just getting extracted left and right with the belief that some of us are going to hit, generational wealth, right? And you see the story, right? You see some dude, I just saw that story. A dude put $500 into the fucking Avalanche meme coin, cock KOQ, and I think it turned $500 into $2 million liquid, right? Like that's it. Like that's what every degen wants, right? And they all get excited about it. But dude, the numbers are bad, right? If you look collectively, we are a losing class 100%. We are dumb as fuck. We are bad allocators. There are more losers than there are winners in this market at the moment right now here as well. And this is kind of the other hard part, right? Is that you then want to figure out what's your challenge, right? What's your balance, right? What are you actually going to find in your portfolio to be able to, deal with these highs and lows, right? But in the end, right, like this is kind of the long-term challenge here is that we can't get out of our own way, right? We can't get out of our own problem set. We all get stuck in chasing the greed, right? Like the greed just absolutely is insane. And this greed is across everyone, right? It's not just those who don't have wealth. We have diamond holders who think the same. We have long-term engagement holders who think the same, right? And that's the challenge, right? Is that you then have an awful experience in Web3 if you play the game like that's actually like one of the most important things I can share is that almost everyone who is so only focused on short-term profit tend to be the most miserable people in this market. Right? And that's also like a very interesting thing is that you want to find where's that level of comfort and misery for yourself. And really it's like you're gonna if you tap into the misery and FOMO, right, you'll hate web, right? Because all you're doing is chasing and only complaining about your opportunity cost left and right. And that's what, again, what 90% of people are still doing in this market. I think separately, right? Like the other big challenge that you'll see when you step away from all of this is whether or not you actually want to be in a ecosystem that is supporting the collective versus the individual. And this is the problem is that we're all lying to like telling ourselves that crypto builds great communities. Fuck that. Great crypto creates great insider groups to allow certain small groups to play better PvP games versus others. That's really what this is. Right? No one really gives a fuck about any real relationships, right? Realistically, right? All of our relationships are fleeting. You will buy and sell out of any asset if the opportunity cost is right, right? You will buy and sell out of any asset if the price is right. None of this game is actually truly about community in the long run. And when I say this, I'm talking about the collective spirit. I think there are outliers to that. I'm sure many of you made friends. I'm sure many of you made real connections. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of amazingness that I've seen not only in the broader tribe community, of course, the diamond community as well. But in the end, right, like a lot of people are still struggling, right, with the understanding of this is still all PvP. Right. As much as I want to, like, this has always been my vision is like, how do we collectively play GVG is what I want to get to. Right. This is actually like the biggest product insight I can tell you. What is Tribe actually trying to build? Right. I want to change this PvP game into GVG. So PvP means player versus player or 1v1, right? GVG means guild versus guild, right? It's the idea of 100 versus 100 or 1,000 versus 1,000. I think that's way more interesting. I want to actually create like I hate the word guild in web3. These guys use it incorrectly. Guild in web3 right now means farmers, right? A group of collective farmers, right? Like YGG, Avocado Guild, those kind of ones. I don't care about that. That's not what I want. The realest guild in Web3 are guilds like Tribe, are those that actually build ecosystems that give as much shared rewards back. And that's one of the things that we continue to strive for, right? We have given more whitelist liquidity to our community. And that's like, even if you separate what diamonds are getting, right? Ignore even diamonds. We are still giving out more whitelist liquidity than any other community in Web3. It's not even close. No one even comes close to the range of our allocation and our numbers. Then layer diamonds on top of that, the numbers get even crazier as well. And this is kind of the other important thing, right? Is that we're trying to find ways for all of us to collectively win. So one of the other reasons why we're even like structuring a lot of the stuff inside this entity, it's that we're actually restructuring it to give more collective wins to all of you. right? We want to find way more of that stuff out there, which I think is going to be really interesting. I don't know if it actually sustains. The greed might take over all of us, right? The greed might take over the market where just we always get stuck in PvP. But I hope not. I hope not. I think if we are only stuck in PvP, right, this market gets really fucking depressing, right? And I think that's the other challenge here, right? Is like this market does get super, super depressing if it only gets stuck in PvP. So I implore you guys, like, how do you get away from it, right? How do you actually find a way to scale beyond this, right? Where there is significantly more upside here, right? That is in the collective good. And the collective good struggles with that. I want to build for it. I want to get to it, but it is tough. You have selfish personas, you have singular personas, you have, the greed personas. So how do you actually get people to settle that aside or allow them to do individual arenas while still coming back to a collective every time? I think communities who figure that out are going to be really powerful. I think Tribe is one of the few trying to ask that question. And that's kind of why I'm really excited about where I think the rest of this journey is going to. So, guys, I appreciate you here. Real quick, just check the calendar. Right now, we have tomorrow, we're going to talk about Ronin. If there's one little insight I can give you, is we are accelerating launch cycles on quite a few different things. Right now, Ronin is in a live with our diamonds. So the diamonds are essentially going to choose whether or not we accelerate Ronin or not. Looks like from how what we're seeing from the signs from the community is that it's probably going to get accelerated. But Rodin's not the only thing that's going to get accelerated, right? We have quite a few other things. The other little bit of insight I'm going to share with you is that Tribe and is going to find new ways to give you value, but we're also expanding the way we're building our entity structure, right? Which is going to really allow for us to get you guys other upside. So one of the other upsides here is going to be is that we're going to get you guys more access to token sales, right? And pre-sales specifically. Not saying that all of them are going to be strong, but we're going to get you guys upside to other projects token sales, which I think will be really interesting. We really want to be able to get a huge opportunity for all of you guys to be a part of this collective wealth, right? And to be honest, like I think Tribe has actually already built the guild function really correctly for diamond users. If you've been a long-term diamond user, it's a fairly solid and true experience of what we want. We now want to take the best of that and pull that out, right, to to the broader tribe. How do we take that same relationship that we've had in diamonds and find a way to bring that broader to everyone else? So you're going to see more pre-sale opportunities to other projects. We're going to get larger allocations. We're thinking through a lot of interesting things, and that's how I think we're going to bring you upside in Q1. This is how we're going to scale in Q1, right? Which I think is going to be pretty exciting as all the rest of the pieces kind of come together. So, outside of that, if you look at our calendar this week, as we mentioned, tomorrow morning, day after, we'll talk about tokens. And then at the end of this week, we do have holiday auctions and raffles. So we're going to start opening up a little bit of our vault. Not tons, but I'm pretty sure we'll end up like selling 10 ETH, 15 ETH worth of assets here to you guys here as well, which I think cool. So we'll have a bunch of assets, so there'll be a Wii box up for grabs, there'll be Infinigods, Wallet Wars, whatever, Ether, Galaxy Fight Club, we'll add them all in. I think we'll give out our last Momoguru, so be excited, guys. The last Momoguru out there. Are you guys ready? I think that's what we all really want. No Ant Republic. I fucking didn't waste my time even minting that. I hope you guys get profit off that shit, but fucking didn't want to go with that mint process at all. So we have a lot of stuff there. There's gonna be some parties and some events that are coming here as well, right? Which is going to be pretty cool. And you know, there's going to be a lot of surprises. We are still structuring all of the details here, but yeah, if you go look at that calendar, we'll even give out some oath. There's going to be some other auctions as well, and raffles for a few reapers. And these will be a new roll structure, so there's going to be quite a bit. And yeah, Frankie's coming back, dude. Frankie's got a .03 bid offer on them and a .05 floor. Really, really, really important. You're going to see the Warlock role expand. You're going to see, the Ronin BTC ecosystem potentially expand. You're going to see our vision on, we're right now updating our vision around comics and understanding how we could build the concept around culture and tabula rasa into the right fold. There's a lot of cool things coming. We have physicals coming, which will be really cool. The first diamond physicals will be given out here at the end of this year, which will be cool. Lots of other small pieces. We're just bringing this all together, but you're going to see a huge shift in January, a huge shift in what we're building. And I think if we get this right, we're going to make this community 10x more valuable in 2024. That's the goal, right? 10x more valuable in allocations, upside, and opportunity. 10x more valuable in our own launches and projects as well. We feel we've kind of gotten the right design for our playbook as well. So we're going to keep scaling. We're going to keep unlocking. We're going to keep building, which I think is exactly what Tribe has always been about. But, for Diamond, you already know inside of what we're building and what we're trying to get to. And it's realizing like there's actual like real entity changes that are happening, right? And these entity changes are going to unlock a lot of our vision moving forward. So, guys, I'll share more about that. We'll have more events, but enjoy your week. Stay close, stay attention, but roughly the next couple of weeks are going to be nice. They're not going to be over crazy at this point. I don't think there's going to be a ton of new mints coming out in the next couple of weeks outside of Node Monkeys. Like I'm not really putting anything else on my list during this Christmas break. So what you want to now just keep an eye on is where are those profits coming? Where's those accumulations? Where do you want to sustain? Should be a pretty healthy market vision here as well. Yeah, I think there's still a couple more mints. I think Kingdoms next mint, the Avatar mint's coming. I think Galactic Conquest is later this week. I think you guys are. I don't even know what Karamaverse is, but I hope it's good for you guys. So lots of more stuff that are coming in here too. So guys, with that, I'm gonna let you all go. I appreciate you sticking around, almost 400 of you here. If you've already been here, you've gotten the relic. Don't ask me for relics. When you ask me for relics, I do my favorite thing and I time you out, Hooked. If you weren't here, you don't get out of here, and you get muted for a week, which is great. I love doing that. My favorite thing to do. I'm muting. Like I don't even care anymore at this point. I'm just gonna fucking mute people. Fuck all this shit. Like that's really what I've got into at this point. Mainly because okay, like you guys should know our system, run the system, play it, enjoy it. And the good thing you only get muted, right? You could come back and bother me in a week, and then I'll do it again. Yeah, I'm sure he wants to open a ticket. And anyone wants to say I want to open a ticket. Honestly, my favorite thing, actually, you want to be telling me, you want to know what my favorite thing is? Fucking just straight up banning people who come right into our chat. And the first thing you ask is, who can we talk to for collabs? Those are my favorite people. I'm just like instant ban. You're the laziest fucking collab manager ever. Get the fuck out of here. So I ban those people. I have tons of fun here. And then yeah, we'll get a bunch of people complaining and Reapers are wrote in. Before I give you a goodbye, let me give you some data here really quickly that could be valuable here at the moment right now. Oath is now under 850. We continue to drop that number here at the moment right now. We probably still have two more pretty large waves of optimization. Pretty sure this number will end up getting closer to like 830, 825. Don't get me wrong, it's not saying that we've removed all and all bots. It's a fucking near impossible problem to solve, but we're making it better each time. And that's my favorite thing. So we're gonna have a lot of cool things. Reapers is gonna have a huge unlock coming up. I'm really stoked about where Reapers is going here too. Lots of cool things that are going to be unlocking there. You're going to have both the major vote coming up here shortly. We'll probably be doing that here, either most likely first week of the new year, and then Warlock unlocks, and you have yeah, you'll there will be a quite important decision to be made for all of you as individuals, which is going to be very interesting. You'll have to choose which warlock you want to partner with and represent potentially, and more importantly, warlocks will have to choose a side in this battle. That's the best way we could explain it. Lots of cool things are going to be coming there as well to unlock. When Reaper raffles winners roles assigned, they'll be assigned in early January. If you have the role here for Reapers, you'll get it in the new Reaper server in January as well. There's no Warlock at the moment right now. Warlock will be auctioned, but we will share more insights exactly on Warlock is. I think there's less than 10 spots remaining for Warlock at the moment right now. We've already given out 35. I think there's going to be a max 50. I think 4 or 5 held into our treasury here as well. Very rare role that will play a very meaningful impact in our world. All right, everyone. I've been teasing you on this front, so let me let you actually go. We're going a little bit further here. Appreciate you all joining in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat soon. Bye bye now.